The evening sun had just dipped below the horizon when the peace of a small farming village was shattered by a sound of terror. A deep, panicked bellow echoed from the cattle shed at the edge of the fields. Farmers dropped their tools. Children ran indoors, and neighbors rushed toward sound. What they found was a sight that froze their blood. A massive python, its muscular body shimmering with scales in the dim lantern light, had coiled itself tightly around a mother cow. The serpent was enormous, stretching nearly 20 feet from head to tail, its girth as thick as a man's waist. Its eyes gleamed like fiery beads, and its jaws gaped open, hissing as it tightened its crushing grip around the helpless animal. The cow, a beloved dairy provider for the family, let out guttural cries of pain, her eyes wide with terror. Beside her, a small calf trembled, bleeding desperately, unable to do anything as it watched its mother suffocate. Villagers shouted, waving sticks and torches, but no one dared approach. They had all heard stories of pythons crushing goats, dogs, and even attacking humans. This was different. This was a full-grown cow, and yet the monster had no fear. Within minutes, panic spread through the village. Calls for help were sent out, and people began gathering around the shed. The snake continued its deathly embrace, each coil pressing tighter, the cow's breasts growing weaker. For the villagers, time seemed to move in slow motion as they waited for someone brave enough to intervene. The scene was desperate, chaotic, and terrifying, a true fight between nature's predator and a helpless victim. Just as hope began to fade, the rumble of a jeep announced the arrival of the local rescue team. At the front was Captain Adeel, a seasoned rescuer known for his calm nerves and fearless leadership in life-and-death situations. His team of 5 men, dressed in khaki uniforms with reflective strips, quickly stepped out carrying ropes, long iron hooks, and thick protective gloves. The villagers rushed toward them, pleading for immediate action. Adeel raised his hand to calm the crowd and surveyed the scene carefully. He noticed that the cow's breathing was shallow. Her flanks rose and fell in rapid, weakening motions. The calf, pressed against the wooden wall of the shed, cried pitifully, as though begging the men to save its mother. The python, sensing danger, hissed and tightened its coils even further, preparing for a fight. Adeel gave quick orders. 2 men would anchor the python's tail with ropes. 2 others would distract its head using iron rods, and he himself would attempt to loosen the coils around the cow. The plan was dangerous, but it was the only chance. The villagers, who had been paralyzed by fear, now found hope in the determined faces of the rescue team. Mothers held their children close. Men gripped farming tools in case they were needed, and an elder recited prayers aloud, his trembling voice carried by the night air. The atmosphere grew tense as the rescuers took their positions, every second feeling like a lifetime. The cow's cries weakened to faint moans, her eyes half shut, as though life was slipping away. Captain Adeel clenched his jaw, knowing that if they delayed any longer, they would lose her. The battle was about to begin. With a signal from Captain Adeel, the team launched into action. 2 rescuers rushed to grab the python's tail, wrapping thick ropes around it and pulling with all their might. The serpent reacted violently, its body thrashing with terrifying power. Its head darted forward like a spear, striking at one of the men with a force that knocked his rod aside. The villagers gasped in unison. Another rescuer quickly stepped in, jabbing his iron hook near the snake's mouth to distract it. Dust rose from the shed floor as the men and the snake wrestled for dominance, their shadows flickering against the lantern-lit walls. Meanwhile, Captain Adeel forced his hands between the cow and the python's coils. The pressure was immense, like trying to break apart iron chains. His gloves strained under the force, his muscles burning, but he refused to let go. The cow let out a weak groan, her body trembling as if begging for release. The python scales rubbed against Adeel's arms like sandpaper, leaving deep marks. But his determination grew stronger. Every second mattered. One rescuer shouted that the snake was slipping from their grip, but the others tightened the ropes, gritting their teeth. The villagers shouted encouragement from outside, their voices rising in desperation and hope. The air was filled with noise, the hiss of the python, the shouts of men, the cries of the calf, and the heavy grunt of a cow fighting for survival. It was a scene of raw struggle, where human courage clashed against reptilian instinct, and no one could tell who would win. After nearly 10 grueling minutes of struggle, Captain Adeel gave a final roar of effort and managed to slip one of the python's coils off the cow's chest. At that very moment, his team pulled with everything they had, dragging the tail backward inch by inch. The python thrashed wildly, but the ropes held. Another coil loosened, and then another. The cow collapsed onto her side, gasping for air as the pressure finally began to ease. With one last coordinated heave, the team managed to peel the snake completely off her body. The cow lay trembling, her chest rising and falling rapidly, while the calf immediately rushed to her side, pressing its small head against her neck in relief. The python, furious and dangerous, tried to strike again, but the team swiftly forced it into a reinforced sack, tying it shut with thick knots. The villagers erupted in cheers, clapping, crying, and shouting prayers of thanks. Many ran forward to help fan the cow and bring water. Captain Adeel checked her carefully, ensuring no bones were broken and that she was breathing steadily. Slowly, the cow lifted her head and gave a soft, weak moo, enough to bring tears to the eyes of everyone watching. It was a moment of pure triumph. The monstrous python had been defeated, not with weapons, but with teamwork, bravery, and determination. For the villagers, it was as if a nightmare had ended before their very eyes. Later that night, the cow was led gently back to her home, walking slowly but proudly with her calf close by her side. The villagers gathered in the square, still shaken by what they had witnessed, but filled with gratitude for the rescue team. Captain Adeel addressed them briefly, reminding everyone that every life, whether human or animal, is precious and worth protecting. The python, secured and unharmed, was taken deep into the wilderness the following morning and released far from human settlements. Though it was a predator acting on instinct, it had chosen the wrong victim in the wrong place. For the village, this event became more than just a rescue. It became a legend. Children whispered the story to each other. Farmers retold it while working in the fields, and elders recalled it as proof of bravery and unity. The image of a calf rushing to its rescued mother's side was etched forever into their hearts. Newspapers later reported the incident, calling it a remarkable act of courage and compassion. The rescue team was hailed as heroes, not just by the villagers, but by people across the region. For Captain Adeel and his men, it was simply another mission, but one that proved the value of courage against impossible odds. In the end, the story of the mother cow and the python was not just about survival. It was about the power of human bravery, the strength of community, and the timeless bond between humans and the animals they protect.